the basic concept of cloud computing, because all those you might have learned on your own, that IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, and all those kinds. I will straight away jump to AWS, and we'll start with the basic, and also show you some of the ways to create, the storage or a virtual machine, or maybe a website also. So let's begin. Just give me a few seconds. So I'll just share my screen. Okay, so let's start. As the name suggests, AWS, which is the Amazon Web Service, and you all know that Amazon basically started in 1997 as an e-commerce or bookstore services by Jeff Bezos, and then in 2006 he started the cloud computing services, which was called AWS. And so let's start by looking into what is AWS first, and then look into the services, and then we will see how we can create some kind of a services. I will try to give you a demo, but then my account, I have closed the account because it was charging me a lot. And now I can show you a little bit from here and there, but you can try it out because it's very easy, the AWS. So let's understand. See, the first thing we need to be clear about what do you mean by cloud, okay? And what does a cloud computing means? And these are cloud computing terms, like the various kinds of service model, various kind of deployment model of the cloud is already been, maybe might be taught to you by your trainers. So we'll go to the AWS platform of Amazon. Similarly, we have from Microsoft Azure and IBM, almost all IT companies and small IT companies also today surviving most on AWS, platform or AWS services. So as the name suggests, is it one of the Amazon product, or is it the services kind provided by the Amazon? So Amazon Web Services is a cloud computing platform which provide numerous services to the organization all around the world. And surprisingly, its main competitor in India, Flipkart, also take the outsource or take the services of Amazon during their Big Billion Day sales. So AWS offer IT infrastructure services to the businesses and organization as web services to help them scale up and grow efficiently. So basically, they provide IT infrastructure services. IT infrastructure may include hardware, software, it may include database management system, it may include security, it may include, creating virtual machines. It may include storage of data into the database, providing the platform to hold their application or a server to hold their application. So the AWS provide all of them. So it basically is used to be purchased. So you can purchase a hardware, like for example, network switches and servers. as resources which you can access through internet. Okay, very hard to believe, but today in the world we can believe that any hardware can be accessed by you by sitting in your house, and the hardware is somewhere else in the other part of the world. So that is possible through cloud computing. So because of cloud computing, they use something called pay as you go model. The pay as you go model is Amazon has a very the best pricing or the costing policy. Pay as you go means that whatever services you are using for whatever day, that much you are paying. If you reduce your services, then you pay less. If you increase, so there is no fixed amount of money you're paying as a subscription charge or as a rental charge. Okay, so whatever storage you are using, whatever virtual machines you are using, how much of time you have used, depending on that, it basically charge you. So it allows the organization to save time, money, human resource by moving their IT resources to cloud computing platform by AWS. One of the best in the world, okay, topmost cloud computing services. As of winter 2020, you can, there was some research which was done, and it said that there are 24 group of services which are actually offered by AWS. Now it has grown much. 2023, I will show you, I will take you to the dashboard of AWS. You can see that. So by 2020, they started with 10 services and they increased to 24 group of services offered on this platform, ranging from compute to storage to game development to IoT to, what you called what you say, I forgot, the virtual reality, augmented reality, many, many. So the groups, every group of services have around 1 to 12 tools within that. And it keeps on adding those. So you can host your static file using a simple store services. Like you can host a WordPress blog or any of your website using Elastic EC2 service. Very common. I will cover that today. You can send mail using Workmail from this platform. You can stream desktop using Workspace. You can create games using gaming feature or gaming tools available on Amazon Web Services. So you can imagine that any kind of IT infrastructure in the form of application, you want to develop an application program, or as a coder you want to develop, you want to use Lambda, or you want to use Python, or any kind of machine learning, anything. You don't have to buy those software and keep it. You can just use the host of coding tools available on these services. All IT companies, they don't actually install. What do they do is, mostly we have a remote work culture, work from home. So most of them provide their employee the AWS account and give them access to those tools which they can use to develop a particular application. And then as soon as they use it, after that, if they're not using, the company is not paying. So whatever their resources the companies are using on Amazon Web Service, they're paying for that much. So you don't have to install these software and make this software available to the employee. So today that is a trend in the IT industry. And that is a reason why it is must that you should know about Amazon Web Services. Which are the services which are available for what purpose? And what platform, what tools and services are going to help you in performing your work, right? So every kind of tools are available. You just need to know that. So cloud, it is basically a cloud computing service provided, and it basically provides a lot of flexibility, reliability, and affordability, right? Rather than having your own IT infrastructure, your own hardware, software, and keep on updating it, keep on maintaining. So there's a cost of buying it, cost of maintaining, cost of updating. Not only, suppose, let's say you want to store your database and you want a confidentiality, you want a security of your data, so nobody should steal it from you. It should not be leaked, it should be protected well. And your company scale up as you scale up in your operation. As you expand your company business, your company need much more, your IT infrastructure also need to be expanded. So at that time, instead of buying an extra server or an extra infrastructure, it is best to use a cloud computing services. That's the reason why most of the companies are doing it. Like example, Flipkart. Flipkart basically on Big Billion Day sales, they have their traffic is 10 times more than the normal traffic which comes on a normal day. In order to host these number of traffic, you remember in the cybersecurity we have gone through a particular problem called DOS, denial of services. So DDoS, I'm not talking about the attack. I'm talking about the capability of a server to handle that many requests. So it should give, 24 bar 7 without interruption. Then the speed also should be good. So the Flipkart used the Amazon Web Service called load balancers, basically to load the request. So that's how Netflix, one of the biggest OTT platform, they use Amazon Web Services to host their content on it, right? So that's how maybe in the next session we can take up certain cases and understand that. Maybe I can take up the cases of Netflix. Let's see if we can cover in this session. Otherwise, in the next session, we can take up certain cases of certain companies and see what services they are using. Okay. So that is one thing. Now, what is a benefit of using AWS? Why AWS? AWS is a platform independent. It allow the user to choose their own operating system, own web application. So you want to work with Unix, work with that. You want to work with, Windows operating system, Mac operating system. You can do that from your own laptop. You can access, you can have your own operating system. So you can create a virtual machine of your own configuration with own operating system and use any web application program, any programming language, data services and other services. In addition, AWS also provide a virtual environment for loading various software and services. It can also facilitate the migration of your existing application into the AWS. Today, most of the company, you might be going for a lot of exams, competitive exams. And especially during Corona, most of the companies or educational institute wanted to conduct online exam. And if they had more than 1,000, 2,000 students, it is not possible for them to actually use their own server and host the exam and conduct the exam on that platform. So they have to hire a cloud computing services. And they hired the AWS and uploaded their application program on that. So many companies are doing that. Okay, like Salesforce.com, one of the biggest and most innovative company in terms of CRM. This company also uses AWS to host their application or their client application on AWS. So most of the company, even the IT companies, will migrate their application program on AWS. So you can utilize again a conventional programming language. A coder can use a programming language. They don't have to pay for installing that language or the software in your computer, or a kind of a configuration required. Then you require a particular kind of operating system base. You require an operating system structure. So many things you require. You don't need to do that. You can just simply create an account and use that. So there's no need for IT employee to acquire. And specifically what happens that when you have your own IT infrastructure, non-IT company find it difficult because they need to have their own IT department to handle those. They need to have a technical person to handle the server hardware. They need to have a database administrator. They need to have so many people. And there is an extra cost. These people are not doing the work of the main function of the company. They are basically involved in the activity which is unrelated to that. That is an IT activity. So the concept of cloud computing is rising because most of the company don't want to utilize utilized or give their employee the burden of using this, or hire an employee who are doing unrelated business work. So you don't need a IT employee with a particular capability to serve you. It is very cost effective because you are paying, if you are storing, for example, let's say your company is a small company and you require, let's say, 15 GB, 1 TB, let's say, let's assume. And later on, when a company is, you're paying for 1 TB. Your company is big, becoming big, bigger and bigger. You require now 5 TB. So you will expand, and whatever storage you are using, that much you're paying. Let's say your company, because of Corona, 2, 3 companies shut down, and from 1 TB you came to 50 GB or 100 GB, let's assume. So you don't have to pay for 1 TB which you're booked for. Whatever space you are paying, using that much. If you are using a virtual machine with certain configuration and operating system, suppose you, whatever time you are using for it, that is the time when you are paying for it. So there is no long-term agreement. There is no commitment which is required prior that you have to use minimum this much. Reliability. Amazon Web Service is a very reliable computing infrastructure. It never goes, off, or it doesn't come out as downtime time or the server not functioning. It will be 24/7 functioning with good speed, good security. Security is very important. But if you pay for the security, they may secure your data on your behalf. They may have a very strongest firewall applications, so many things. So then scalability also, I told you that you can scale your infrastructure at any limit, your computation and storage resources on demand, you are paying for it. Okay. So let's look into the popular services offered by AWS. The popular services, there are many services, many categories are there. Okay. Main category are compute services. Compute is very important. Most of the company use the compute services to provide a virtual server hosting. Then container manager, which is S3, where you have storage. Then you can have a serverless computing. You can set code to run to different trigger using Lambda. You can run virtual machine using Elastic Compute Cloud, EC2. You can set up and run small website using Light Sails, or even EC2. You can create the WordPress website also. You can buy a domain name and hosting from them, and you can host your and you can migrate also your WordPress. If you have created on WordPress, you can migrate it on the AWS platform. Compute service is one of the backbone of the cloud computing platform because they provide much coveted computing resources to many company for what they want to. I will show you that. Instead of like, for example, in computing, you can host your own server. You can create a backup data center. You can rent a server from AWS for whatever storage capacity you want. Then you have storage services which can provide both. In use, you can create archives of the file which are as a backup or historical file. You can keep in AWS over there. Okay. You can use Elastic file system to create shared folder in the cloud, which can be accessible by your employees, whoever you are giving authorization to access it from anywhere. You can upload, images, video, text file in S3, which is simple storage services. And you can link it directly to your website so that whatever data is generating, it can go segregate and get files and folders. You can archive so large amount of data at a very rate using a service called Glacier. Okay. And you can take a backup of your company's own premises data and send them to the cloud for safekeeping. Okay. That is storage gateway. Storage solutions are very cheaper like cloud computing services in this. And it is like fully available 24/7. AWS also offer fully managed relational and NoSQL database. Okay. So the effective, the cost of relational database or RDS is very, very low and lowest. And NoSQL database is called DynamoDB. That services is very famous, very popular services. They offer a fully managed, scalable data warehouse services. Okay, and which is called Redshift. Okay, and then you have some one more services called Elasticache. Elasticache allow you to run intensive computation by catching necessary data in the cloud. So all the database services are highly scalable, cost efficient. You can reduce the storage, you can increase the storage. So there's a lot of things which are available. So let us look into some companies which are actually using AWS. Amazon Web Service is becoming a very big deal, and a lot of companies are using the AWS platform to serve their computational for storage, for hosting, for IT infrastructure need. AWS has more than 1 million active customer, ranging from Airbnb, completely on AWS, to GE, some part of it like backup data and all, and many other companies, Dow Jones, Clalox. Let's see how these companies, some of the examples of the companies, how they are using the AWS to power their infrastructure. Okay, so the first company which is I'm going to talk about, which is using the hybrid cloud deployment model, which built Comcast. So Comcast has actually built an app called Xfinity, and services which link AWS cloud and their on-premises data center. So on-premises data center, which is collecting the data of their operational data, is migrated on a live basis in AWS cloud. And Comcast is the world's largest cable company. And they use the feature called Xfinity, X1, several times, a week instead of 12 to 18 months, just to, push all the live data from their premises to the AWS. So AWS have their old historical, it's like a data warehouse where you have historical data as well as the current data present. Then all of you know about the company called Expedia. It's a travel company. And what Expedia did initially when they, in 2013, when they migrated 80% of their apps, data or apps or applications to AWS. And Expedia basically provide, as we all know, that travel related services and 200 other travel booking sites. It's like an aggregator all around the world. Data also they collect and keep it. So because of their global footprint, they required continuous update and innovation. So that's the reason why they chose AWS to host their new services called Expedia Suggest Services. And AWS was the only cloud service provider that support Asia Pacific customers. Okay, at the time when they started in 2013. So this made them a great fit. How this particular company, which is a global travel company, can serve their customer all of the world, including Asia, where only AWS as a cloud computing service was available. Okay. Now, the next company which I'm going to talk about is called Dow Jones. So it's a financial company, and they also are having a branches all around the world in the financial scenario. So when they wanted to lease a physical data center in Asia in 2013. And now if they've set up their own infrastructure as a data center in Asia, wherever they're operating, they have to invest a lot and they need to hire people to look after that. And at that time, again in 2013, AWS was the only cloud computing services which was available as a global company. I'm talking about. Okay. So they migrated, they hired the service of AWS in 2013 in Asia to do the transactions and store their data. So this is actually has reduced the 25% of their costing in Asia, where initially they used to rent a server, they used to get it migrated through some technology, but now because of the AWS, it has become very easy for them. The next company which we are going to talk about is the Atlassian. Atlassian is a popular product and project management tool. They provide product management tool to the various company like Xera, Confluence. They also uses AWS too. When they started scaling their business in other part of the country, they wanted to do this, and also they wanted a disaster recovery system. So for that, they use the AWS to store their backup data. Then you all know about Kellogg's, which sell mostly the breakfast cereal. So they also have $1 million business, and in order to operate their business all around the world, they had to invest in software, hardware, tools in various parts where they were operating to collect the data and to understand that. So instead of doing that, and which would have cost them more than $5 million, so instead of doing that, they started using the services of AWS. So other companies which are using AWS are, Citrix, Square Enix, Spotify, you all know. You listen to the song using that, Netflix. So almost every big company are using, even now Coca-Cola and all these companies are using AWS. Okay. Now, let us understand how AWS helps a particular company in what fashion, in a very normal common language. So as we all have understood till now that AWS offers a massive range of services from business, starting with compute, storage, network security tool, now added also from long time, from last 5 years, the blockchain, machine learning, artificial intelligence, robot development platform, various kinds of specialized tools like video production management. And now also they have added recently something called orbital satellite, where you can hire a satellite services on rent. Hire means AWS is not giving you a satellite. They don't have a satellite, but then we will understand how it is. So to pull those data and make you understand that. So all that is a way. So there are so many services which AWS is handling. So how do we understand that which one we should be taking and how it is working? Okay. So let us take an example of a real world, and I will try to metaphor that and make you understand AWS, how AWS will help you, your company, and operating your own IT infrastructure. So let's take an example of coffee shop. Let's see a coffee shop where a waiters take an order from a customer, and it's a simple coffee shops which has a menu of different types of coffees. And they go and just say, I want coffee. And the person asks what coffee, he tells, I want this coffee. Simple, right? And the waiter gives the coffee. Now, in a computing world, a simple request, coffee is not simple. In a computing world, the request could be anything. It could be a rain pattern analysis in South Africa, or the latest X-ray of your knee, or a video of a kitten. It can be in any format, date. So whatever is a business, basically a customer makes a request. With the permission, the server respond to that request. So let's take the example again. Let's say the waiter name is Morgan. I will take the name as Morgan. And she represents the server part of the client server model. Because I think most of you might be knowing about client server model. I will assume that because normally AWS or cloud computing is a client server model. Client is the one who's using the services, and server is the company server who's hosting that particular application for them and giving them that particular platform. So in AWS scenario, the waiter could be called as, in this world, Elastic EC2, Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, a virtual server. So from an architectural point of view, the transaction we do is very simple to understand. For example, I go to the waiter Morgan, who's a server in computing world, and I ask her to give me something, let's say a kind of a coffee. Okay, this is the EC2 services. So the waiter comes, there is one, I am the only one who's available here, and the waiter has only one services, which is, let's say, EC2, and let's say EC2 is about coffees. So the waiter come to you, you say, I want coffee. She validate and ask with what type of coffee. I says, I will tell, okay, cappuccino. And in this, she, in order to give you that cappuccino, she need to ask you to give the money, and she tells you the price of it, the cost of it. You pay the money, and she return with a response, which is a coffee, and she serves that coffee to you. Right now, let's say, so this is called pay as you go. So there is a menu, whatever you are asking, whatever is the cost, you're paying only that much. You're asking one coffee, you're paying for one coffee cost. You're asking two coffee, you're paying for two coffee cost. Okay. But what happens if I go and say, call the waiter and say, I want a coffee which should have these ingredients, and I make ingredients. I'll say, I want to have a blueberry blaster in that, or maybe an extra caramel shots. Then the waiter will have a fixed menu in which she has a fixed kind of ingredient which is put. Now if the customer comes and tell, I want this to be put, can she give? If it is a transaction which is very simple, where the waiter, where the person, I go and tell the waiter, I want this cappuccino, and I don't say anything, I pay for them. So it is a very simple transaction. But as a customer, I can make it more complex by saying that, can you add little more sugar? Can you add little cream? Can you, all these also I can tell which is available. But if I say now, I want a little, caramel flavor into it, and I want this to be presented in this, so I make it more complicated. So in a business solution where you have more complex kind of a request to be made by a client to a server, can a server respond to that? A normal server, which has only one particular kind of application, just like a coffee shop, which makes coffee of certain types, which is available in the menu with certain ingredient, which is a simple thing. But if you are asking something which making the request a little complex, and you don't have that, will you be able to make it? So by the end, the complex content, that is what is the concept of AWS. So server, like as I said, the server can be as I said, that all cloud computing platform is based on client server model, right? For example, Gmail server. Even that is also client server model. Gmail is also a cloud computing services. It is, your Gmail mails are not stored in your own computer hard disk. So your computer through which, or your mobile phone through which you are connecting to Gmail server is a client. And wherever your mail is hosted in whichever server is a server. And the server means what? To serve. So when a client sends a request to the server, if you are sending a request to Gmail to send you a Gmail, it will give you, it's a simple request. But if you are asking Gmail some other servers, some other request, which it doesn't have services, won't give. So that's the difference between an AWS and a normal server. A normal server will be using a simple transaction with a single application based program, whereas AWS platform has several services and tools available with multiple platform available to you. So whatever you're asking, it has those services for you. So never it will say that no, sorry, we don't perform, we can't give this particular thing. Okay, so you can, it's just like a food court in a mall, where you, if you're not finding anything particular in one shop, you can go to the other shop and you can buy. So just like that. Okay, so what is the benefit of these cloud? So upfront expenses refer to when you are doing a expenditure in the car terms of data centers, physical servers you are buying other resources. They're upfront expenses. There's a variable expenses also in the form of where you have to consume electricity. You need to hire the IT professionals to run those data center. You need to upgrade those data center with latest technology. Up all kind of variable costs are there. So by taking a cloud computing approach, the variable expenses, upfront expenses, once the company can do, but when the expenses in terms of maintenance, in terms of scaling up, updating comes, which becomes a very high cost effective for the company. At that time, AWS is very important. So stops cloud computing allow the companies for stopping them to spend a lot of money to run and maintain a data center or application program on their servers. Okay, so computing, just a minute. Okay, so I got disconnected. Sorry. Just give me a few seconds. Okay, so we were here. This, okay, fine. So I was talking about sometimes it is a problem that a company need to spend a lot on, uh, understanding that in future, if we are expanding our business, how much, what is the kind of infrastructure we require? What is the capacity of infrastructure we require? Okay. So it is better that you use at that time the EC2 cloud. Okay. And this EC2 cloud will help you in understanding whatever you are. Sometimes what happens, a company buy a infrastructure because they are scaling up their operation, and most of it remain unused, like hiring a lot of employees, and some of those employees are not able, you're not able to use those employees. Like Infosys used to do that initially. They had a practice that they will make a employee data, employee bank, and they will hire extra number of employees. In case if somebody leaves, they have trained employee. But that was costing them a huge amount of money because most of them were unproductive. They were not productive enough. They were not given any job. They were just simply sitting and getting salary. So it was very cost effective for the company. So the what company did, they started creating, so that's the same thing that happens with the companies in terms of IT infrastructure. So when they want to buy infrastructure and certain infrastructure remain unused, they still have to keep on paying. So that's the reason why AWS EC2 cloud is much more easy. You don't have to buy an infrastructure. You just create a virtual machine with a configuration which you want and use it. So for the time you're using it, you are paying for that much amount. Okay. So I will just skip this all and I will go basically this all you might have done on your own. So let's look into some of the services. When you go to AWS, basically when you create a free tier, see there is a free tier account also, which is available. I will show you when I'm going to the platform. You have certain services which is free of cost, and maybe certain services free for 12 months, and after that they start charging you. They take your credit card information and hold $1 for you, and as soon as you stop, if you use some premium service, they will charge you. There are region and availability zone, like for example in India you have to choose the Asia Pacific Mumbai zone as their center. So Amazon is available in, if you look into the Amazon, they have a lot of regions all across the world. Okay, like Canada, US, East, many are there. Around more than 22 are there, and Asia Pacific is one where we align. So in US East, West, Asia Pacific is Mumbai, which I told you, and you have other. So you have to select a region automatically by your IP address. It will do that. So let us look into one of the major services which I'm going to discuss today is EC2. So I'm going to discuss about EC2 and S3, okay, which are the major services. So let's look into what does an EC2 do. So EC2 is all about creating a virtual machine. Normally, there is a kind of a software which we use, hypervisor, to create a virtual machine of any configuration. So you don't need, for example, if you are an architect, or suppose you are let's say you are an architect, or you want to, or a graphic designer, you want a very machine with a particular kind of a configuration. Either you go and buy it, and if your project is over, maybe that machine is of no use to you. So why to invest permanently and make that investment a dead investment after some time? So instead, we can use the EC2 feature of the Amazon and create a virtual machine, which we can access through our own computer, any computer, a normal computer, normal laptop, and access that virtual machine. We can configure the machine processing capability, memory, RAM, operating system, and whatever, and we can run the application program on that. Most of the time, certain developers use this virtual machine to run their code, test their code, and do all those kinds of stuffs. As soon as you stop using that, so in Amazon, AWS, everything what you do is called instances. So instances is where you can create. For example, if I'm creating the activity, any activity which you're doing it, and any activity which you're running. So if I create a virtual machine, let's say which is operating on Mac, or it is basically it is having certain configuration, and I use it for 2 months, 3 months. So it will be under the instances, it will show, and it will show the number of machines which I'm running on in my account, and I'm able to access it. So this is how the EC2 Cloud has one application. The most popular service is EC2 Cloud, the Elastic Cloud. Let's see that. Just a minute. Okay. So Amazon Elastic Cloud, you remember I gave you an example of a coffee shop, and I told you the waiter as a metaphor for client, as a server, and the customer who orders a coffee is a client. So the client server model, where the clients send a request to a server and server does the same work. It serves the client and send a response. That example is for coffee shop. But at the same idea, whenever we apply to business, your business, whether it is in healthcare or it is in manufacturing, it is an insurance company, or you are delivering a video content like Netflix to million of people around the world or in India, wherever, whatever you are doing, or also you're using this anything you are doing. So you need a server to power your business and your application, to host your application. You need a raw compute capacity to host your application. So you need a very hi-fi server which can host your application and make that application available to all the users of your application all around the world or wherever you're operating. And for that, you need to provide a compute power. So AWS provide a virtual machine to you. This services or virtual services called EC2. Using EC2 for computing is very good because it is very flexible. As I said, that whenever you're using, whatever you're using, you're paying for that. It is very cost effective. So when you compare it running from your own server on a premises in a data center that you own, you have to pay much more than what you're paying for using a virtual machine through AWS services. Okay. So this is the EC2, which we can do. I will show you. For example, as I said, you can choose in the Elastic Cloud your own CPU, whatever configuration you want. You can use the memory capacity, GPU, enhanced networking, all features what you want. You can just choose that and make an instance and run that. For the time you are running it, you will get the benefit. The benefit is that, as I already told you, it is low cost. If you have to install your own hardware, it is more. It is very dependable. The scaling is very easily possible, flexible pricing system. So that's one thing which is required. And so you don't have to install. If you are stuck, for example, in your own machines or in your own IT infrastructure, you require to call some expertise to solve that. By that time, there is a rundown time for your machine. Your business is affected, your customers are infected, but in EC2 Cloud, it doesn't happen in that way. Everything, all problems are solved. Okay. So that's the EC2 Cloud. So you create instances. So if you have created 4 virtual machines for your computer, you have 4 instances. And if you are what time you are running, so this is called virtualization. That means converting, creating a virtual machine with certain configuration, which can be in certain cloud platform and using that from anywhere. We normally use something called hypervisor. And in that particular system, there is a beauty that you can choose any operating system in that. Okay. So basically the hardware and the operating system can be chosen by you in a virtual machine. Okay. So EC2, if you see here, instances which are available for you. So like I told you, if you go to a coffee shop and it offers only few types of coffee, then it is simple. You just take a name and it gives you that coffee. Okay. But if you want to make it more complicated, then you just go and say that Why don't you mix this and mix that and make a different kind of a coffee for me? Is that available? That particular thing is available in AWS. In AWS, you can mix, match various services and create a new unique services for yourself. Okay, so it's not like a particular kind of services with particular thing you can deploy in your environment, in your business environment. So you can create n number of instances. For example, few of your employees want a virtual machine with Mac operating system, with certain CPU, with GPU for functions and all. Few of them doesn't require that kind. So you can give them whatever they require, whatever is the kind of uh, computing power they need, memory they need, what kind of storage they need. Depending on that, you can create instances for different instances with different computing, memory, and networking resources, and for your own people, and give that. Now, there are also something called HPC, the high performance computing, a scientific model which are available for R&D team, where it can use certain kind of accelerated computer. Let's say, for example, if they have to calculate something on floating point number, or graphic processing, or data pattern matching, then there is a kind of a hardware which they need. And those are called hardware accelerators. So you can add those hardware accelerator if you have not added. So that means you go to a coffee shop, a kind of a coffee shop, where you go and say that we want a different kind. So in EC2, you have different kinds of instances which you can create. One is a general purpose instances, which can provide a balance of compute, memory, network resources. General purpose instances are something which are available commonly for all. Like, for example, they will create a configurable machines with certain hardware required configuration and certain operating system which is available. So they will list those. So those are like for a coffee shop where you have a list of coffee which are available. You just name it and you give money for that. Similarly, general purpose instances are those in EC2 where you can just go and hire a already configured machine which are available. Okay. So like, for example, you can use them for application, hosting your application, for gaming servers, for backend servers, for enterprises application, small and medium database, and all those kinds of things. So for that, you don't have to customize and create a virtual machine. So there is another thing which is called the compute optimized instances. And compute optimized instances is the instances where you have, this is a general purpose EC2 which I told you. So which has a certain kind of a configuration which is available for all. You can just go there and you can check one of the machine which be available with a specified configuration. You take that and use it. Then there is as I said, there is a compute optimized instances. Compute optimized instances are ideal for compute bond applications, especially for developers, or high performance processor if you want. As I said, that in general purpose instances, you can use it for a normal purpose, a normal configured computers which are available for normal coders, for normal developing and all. But you want to develop something, you want to use a high performance computing machines, then you have to go for a compute optimized, where you can specify your applications, or specify your hardware configuration, your operating system requirement, your network resources requirement, and also your security requirement. Okay, so that also you can go ahead and you can do it. Okay, so you can see, you can optimize for RAM, you can optimize something in the optimize, which is called a mirror optimizing. You can see here. So you want, these are some examples which I have given over here. So if you want a particular kind of a CPU and a particular kind of a memory, per instance, how much memory per instance can be used, all those kinds of information it will give you once you are choosing that. Okay. So, and these are some examples which you can see. These are accelerated computing machines. So high performance machines are also available. with a particular configuration. If you want, you can choose any one of them, or you can try to compute. Okay. And anytime you can. So I'm just going to omit this because these are about scaling and all. Like I told you that if you want to scale your business, how you are going to use it. So I'm not going to go here. As I said, that EC2 creates a virtual server, okay, for yourself or for your Amazon Web Services. These are called instances, are nothing but the virtual server which you are running. If you are running 4 virtual servers and it is in a running stage, then there are 4 instances you have to create. And all these 4 instances, how much time you're running it, that much time you're paying for it. Okay. So Elastic Cloud is a web services from Amazon. I told you, you can, it's an under the thing. So now I'm going to just give you a demo of this. Demo means my account is closed. So I'm just going to take you through this, and then through a video, I may tell you how to create a machine, a virtual machine. So all of you know that you can just sign in, and after signing in, you get this like a dashboard. You can go for a create a free account. In the free account, you will have these kinds of services available: free trial, 12-month free, and always free. In free trial, if you click, you get all these are free trial. That means how many months free trial. Like for example, machine learning. So Amazon PageMaker for 2 months, then 2 months. So these many hours free trial services will be available for you. And if you want to go for 12-month free, after 12 months, you have to provide your anyhow your card number, your credit card number. They hold $1. And after 12 months, whatever services this free trial will get over. But not all the services are available in free trial. They have limitation. For example, in the free trial, if you see the type of the offer, the product categories they give you is compute, database, storage, containers, and machine learning. A lot of services are there in that. And in this, you can see that EC2, 750 hours, you can run any instances. So any virtual machine which you are running, it can be run only for 60 hours. After that, they start charging you. S3 storage, I will tell you about S3. 5 GB they will give you free for 1 year. After that, they start charging you. Okay. Then you have something called always free. In always free, you have Dynamo DB, where you have 25 GB for storage of database. You can have 25 GB, you can store NoSQL database in that. Okay. And Lambda is there. Most of the people are using. Please use this Lambda here. You can run your code and 1 million, you know, free requests per month. So CloudFront, all these are something which you can use. CloudWatch, okay, all those kinds are there. There are n number of services which are available. If you see here, this is the account and this is a support system. Now for everything, they have a support or a knowledge center. So you can, for any services, you can go for a tutorial, a video tutorial. Let me also tell you students that there is an exam which is called AWS certification, certified AWS Amazon Web Service Certified Professional. And this exam is 6,000 rupees. You can just learn certain concept and about their services. Basically, if you know about EC2, you know about S3, you know about different kinds of cloud computing deployment model like IaaS, SaaS, and PaaS. If you know about hybrid and private and public cloud, example of that, advantage, disadvantage, EC2, S3, and the various kinds of services provided by Amazon Web Services, you will pass that exam, and believe me, you will have a very good opportunity for working in any IT company in the cloud, segment or the thing. So that's there. Then, if you can see here, so I'll just show you. So if you click on sign in, So see here at present, I have already signed in with the account. It's a free account. And if I go to the support center, all of you can see here. Can you all see? So in this support center, you can see this is called training. And in this training, you can take a help of all. And even if you are going to EC2, S3 or any services you are taking, there is a help which is provided. And if you see here, my name is there. This is my account, my billing dashboard will be there. Security credentials also will be there. Here, the reason which I said that there are a lot of region which you can select and you can operate from. It's not necessary that you are in India, you can operate from there. You can choose anything. So I hereby, I have chosen this and I can still work. But normally for India, people choose Asia Pacific Mumbai. So that means that the server or the AWS, the backbone or whatever the physical data center which is available, which you're using is in Mumbai, is in the Asia Pacific. Okay, so that is one thing. You can go through these tutorials. There are training and certification program. Training and certification is essential for those who want to make their career in this. You can go through the training. All these trainings are available for if you want to become a developer. You can go for this training. If you want to go for a cloud practitioner, data analytics, machine learning, all kinds of training it's very useful actually. So now we can go through this particular product. If you see, so many services are available, right? So main services here is EC2, where you can create a virtual server in the cloud. Then you have storage, which I'm going to talk about. S3, you can create a bucket in the storage. Like for example, for virtual services, you create instances. So 4 instances means 4 virtual machines you are running. And S3 means that you create buckets. That means buckets are the one which will hold your data, or it's a storage unit for you. Okay, so that is there. Then MySQL, DynamoDB, which is NoSQL database, RDS is there. Lambda, which is more popularly used. So virtual private network, the virtual cloud services, which is virtual private network. If you want to create, most of the companies for virtual hybrid workforce, they ask their employees to use that. That is also available over here. So if you see here, there are so many services which are available. So you have analytics, you have blockchain, okay, you can do with that. You have financial management. So these are our business management solutions. Then you for contact centers, call centers, you have this for database. You have these kinds of services. Then you can see for gaming, you can create use this platform. Internet of Things, IoT, you have these kinds of services available. For machine learning, you can see that all these other services which are available for you. And then satellite, which I was telling you. So this is a very premium service and serverless. And this is the storage which I was talking about, which is called S3. So let's look into the S3. Now, Amazon S3 gives you free 12 months, 5 GB of storage. Okay. That means 5 GB anybody gives, even Gmail gives you 5 GB, and Dropbox, any of the cloud computing services will give you 5 GB free data. After that, you have to pay for it. Okay. So it basically scale storage resources to meet fluctuating need 99.999%. That means all your need is meant, whatever you are, if you're reducing your storage, it will charge you for that. If you're increasing, so no upfront, no commitment that I have to use 5 GB or 1 TB or something like that. And again, one of the major features is that it provides security to your data, right? You can do the auditing of your data and see who was. So this is how, if you see the diagram below, how this S3 work, the overview of the S3. So if you have let's say your entire database or some of the database you stored into S3 bucket, you can use the application program from your server, or maybe if you can run your application program, analytics application program on AWS server and use this data. It is not necessary that you have to host your application analytic application in AWS, then only it can use this data and analyze. So you can, from wherever your application program is hosted, it can take the input or data from here and utilize that data and give you the report. So Amazon S3 create buckets to store your data. You can also easily migrate your data from your physical data center to this. You can keep a count, you can schedule the migration, all those things you can do. So it basically store your data in the form of buckets. Also, not only this, it can allow you to control your data. Controlling your data means that whom you want to provide access to. Do you want to provide access to certain employees? Let's say you have 100 employees. Your 10 employees are high level management, and you give them access to see the data, edit the data, and do anything with the data. And rest of the employee, you want to give them access only to see the data or input the data. So that controlling you can do. Then cost optimization. You can use a virtual private network facility of AWS to transfer your data, migrate your data. Your data is in transit. That's the time when the data is most vulnerable. So you can use a VPC services to make secure your data while it is in transit. So if you see the feature, it has so many features over here. So you can go one by one to all. And you can see it has a glacier also. So glacier, I will talk about, you can look into it. I'll just tell you about glacier also. So all these kinds of things are there, for example. So if I say that I want to get started with this, it won't work now because I have, closed my account. All these kinds of tutorials are there. You can just go through this tutorial because in one day you can't. It is like a full complete, but it is very easy. It's not very difficult to do that. Okay. They also give you case studies of various kinds of, so if I have to start, I have to fill my registration. So see, my account is closed. That's why it's not showing it. But I'll show you through a video that how S3 you can create an account. I will also show you through a video that how you can create a virtual machine. For example, if we go to EC2, okay. So this is the platform. You can create over 6,600 instances. That means 600 virtual machine you can create with all kind of processor, storage capability, networking resources, any kind of operating system. You can choose that to meet your need, and you can choose Intel, AMD, ARM processor, anything. It is, you can create a Mac instances. You can create any network requirement. So that is there. High performance computing services it can meet. You can develop a Mac platform. Okay. So I'll just try to see. I don't think it's going to work because it will ask me to complete my registration. I have to complete my registration where I have to provide all my card information and all. Once I do that, so I will just show you in the video. But before that, let me take you through one more PowerPoint presentation. PowerPoint presentation. Okay, fine. So let's do this. Okay. So this is basically storing of the data. So if you want to store your data, you know that you have various ways to store your data. Personally, you store in hard drive. You take some backup in certain cloud drive nowadays, like Google Drive 15 GB. You can upgrade from 5 GB Dropbox. So whatever you want, you can just do it that and access your data from anywhere. Gmail also have extended. They give you the 15 GB shared storage, free data for you. So Amazon Simple S3 means Simple Storage Services. It's a service which provide object level storage. So S3 store data as an object in the bucket. So you can upload any type of a file in S3. Okay. For example, you can upload a text file, video file, image file. You may use S3 to store a backup of your file. You can archive documents into it. It offers unlimited storage space. Okay, but 5 GB is free, which I've shown you already. So you can have also the 5 TB or whatever storage space you want. You can upload a file to Amazon S3, and you can set up a control of permission, authorization to access. Who can access those files? So those are the features which the Amazon helps you. It also helps you in tracking those changes people have made on your data file. So just like in a Word, when you make or any of document, when you make the changes, you can track the changes. Similarly, here it allow you to track all kinds of your data. And also it will, suppose if you have a huge database, then it will create a kind of indexing, which will have a metadata and a key. So with a keyword, you can actually search your data and immediately within a second, you can upload those files from a huge database. Okay. So that metadata, which is indexing in the purpose, it is used for the indexing purpose, contain information like what is a file type, what is the name of the file, what is a key research search field in that, and who has last modified that particular file. All those details will be there. So S3, as the name suggested, that it is a storage service, but it's a very simple storage services. Okay, simple means it is nothing very complicated. It is like anybody can do anything. You do not require any kind of a training or a particular kind of a knowledge to store the data into it. If you know how to store your data in the folder and files in your computer, you will be able to do in that. You can retrieve this data anytime from anywhere, and you can scale up also. So data is stored as an object, as I told you. And it can be also stored in the form of something called bucket. Like for example, in your hard drive, you store a file or something in the folder or a directory. So similarly, the folder is called a bucket here in the S3. So the folder can be, that bucket can be named. So maximum object size that you can upload is 5 terabyte in one particular bucket. Right. So that is the kind of a thing which can. And also it has a feature in the bucket where, for example, you have uploaded a new version of something and accidentally you deleted one object. So you can retrieve that object which you accidentally have deleted, which is also something called in this AWS called paper trail. Okay. And you can create multiple bucket and store just like multiple folders and store with different kinds of data into it and provide different kinds of permission to all buckets to access the object or the files in the bucket. The files in the bucket are called objects. So you can even store. So that's one thing which you can do. You can even store data between different files. For example, you can connect one folder with the other folder with one, which is called relational database. For example, you are creating an employee database, and in one of the bucket you created as employee personal file. In one bucket you created for employee payroll file, one training file, like this. You can connect one employee file which is present in all the bucket but contain different information. You can connect that with employee ID. So that is a kind of a relation it can create between the different bucket. So it's very important. So the Durability is very, very good. The low cost area thing is there. So just I will go ahead with this. So when we are talking about the kind of storage which has S3 is will store two type of web pages, static and the this exercise I have given it to the previous batch. Let us see if we can give some exercises to you also. So static and dynamic web page. Okay. So um, S3 static web hosting, where a static website is a what is a static website? It's a collection of HTML file, and each file is akin to the physical page of actual site. And a dynamic website is written in a language like CGI, ASP, or ASP.NET. So they usually take more time to load than a static website. You all know about it. Those who are in web development. Now the task for you people for the next session is to create. If you have already learned AWS, then I want you to create a static website, using AWS feature. Okay, maybe the S3 feature. So you can host, or if you can create a WordPress, because that facility is already available, you can learn that, and you can upload, you can show me a website hosted on AWS platform, or maybe you can just load a static web page through S3. Okay. So that is one thing which is very important part, which I wanted to explain you. Also, there is something called Amazon Glacier. Okay. So Amazon Glacier is basically for retaining data for several years, historical data. So if you have a lot of data, sometime a company will keep the data of 5, 10, 20 years also. Why? Because that is needed for auditing purpose. And how do you retrieve those data of the last 10 years and all? For that, we don't use S3, we use something called Amazon S3 Glacier. And we archive that data into years. And under that, we do the sub archiving of department like marketing, HR, and all. To use this Glacier, you simply have to move the data from the S3, and you can create a kind of a wallet. Wallet means you can create a key, like you can log the data. Okay. So you can keep it for a certain period of time, whatever you want. You can have a policy who can handle this data. You can allow people to read this data and not to rewrite this data again and all. So these are the Amazon Glacier services, which is available for huge amount of historical data. Okay. And you can also create something in the Amazon which is called WORM, which is write once and read many, like a disk. And that's a kind of a thing that once the data is written, it cannot be edited by anyone. So that particular thing also you can create in the S3 Glacier. Okay. That means you can do that. So let's see this if it works. I don't think it's going to work. So I have to show you a demo. Let's look into one of the case studies, how Netflix uses AWS. So Netflix uses AWS for computing, storage, and database, and even analytics. So recommendation of engines, video transaction, totally they use 100,000 server instances on AWS. And all kinds of S3 services, what they use, the containers which they make on the S3, and they basically use container services because their files are huge, their storage requirement is huge, and they keep on updating. So Netflix, what they did, they actually started with their own kind of servers where they hosted all these content. But later on in 2008, when they expanded their business, they felt a need to expand their or invest in the IT infrastructure, which was not possible for them. So they moved in 2008 to AWS. And it took little time for them to migrate their entire content into it, which was made available globally to all their account holders. And this AWS has brought huge scalability, elasticity, services where they can focus now or more on content production, whereas the AWS is focusing and giving them a storage services, processing services, and distribution services. Not only this, the Netflix also use the machine learning and analytics services of AWS, to understand and recommend a smart content to their account holder and make them reuse the services for a long time. So they online got, so this have Amazon Web Services, what AWS started using was thousands of servers they are deploying from AWS, thousands of virtual machines they are deploying, and terabytes of storage they are using on AWS S3 or containers, so that their content can be accessed by anybody from any part of the world using anything. It can be used on mobile devices like my phones or anything like that. Netflix also set up to build something called VFX Studio in AWS, and this VFX Studio in the cloud, again that service is available in your AWS, which is powered by Nice DCV. It's a high performance computing services which is available on AWS, and it provides customer with a secure way to deliver a application which will deliver a kind of a VFX Studio effect on your content. So they started using that also with the Netflix. So in 2019, Netflix also increased their virtual workstation on AWS. So this is called Nice DV. So basically, the instances which they use NVIDIA T4 Tensor Core GPU, which is very high, very costly, expensive one. They use Mac OS, Windows, Linux operating system, machine learning, and everything like that. Okay. So the other company which I want to give example is AstraZeneca. You all know about COVID vaccines. They also use artificial intelligence and machine learning to one of their major projects is to eliminate cancer. They make medicine for that. So they use the AI service and machine learning service of AWS to protect or to create their research on cancer, and the data collection which they get it from multiple like image scanning or the lot of patients data which they collected from different hospitals, which is put into the Amazon Web Services called AZ, and using the ML project, they can utilize and do research and come out with a very high end, product. Similarly, for COVID-19 also, the AstraZeneca has used several data, several information, which is available all throughout the world from the third party, from the researcher, from the labs, from the premises data centers, and all these people have sent their data in one location, which was initiated, a bucket which was created, which was in public for various kinds of people who are associated with this project on S3, and people collected and poured their data into that, and they use a service of called Amazon Aurora, which is for healthcare services. And with that, they could actually do a research and did 110 billion statistical tests on AWS, but not possible on a normal machine. Okay. So there is a case study on this, okay, which you can go through that. I will show you a little later. But before that, I will just show you how to create machines. Okay. So I'll take you through a video now, students, and you can see that how machines are created. Virtual machines are created. Okay. Just give me a few seconds. I'm just going there.
Yeah. You can.
So let's see in the video that how a particular using Amazon Web Service, you can create a virtual machine and use it using EC2.
You can close all these welcomes pop-ups. Click on Launch Virtual Machine. Now we have to.
So these are all general instances, purpose instances. You have certain machines which are already created over here. You just have to select that. And this all EC2R machine which you select becomes first instance. So let's see this.
Select our operating system. You can find a lot of operating systems here. We can even find Mac operating systems unlike Azure and Google Cloud. I will select Windows operating system for demonstration.
See, the first point is to select the operating system for your machine. And the second point, when you select the operating system, like the person has selected Windows, you can select even Mac also, Unix also, Ubuntu also, whatever you want the platform you select. Then the second part is it will give you options to select various kinds of CPU, memory, all storage capability and everything. So we'll look into this.
We can select configuration of the system according to our purpose. Here we can select number of instances, IP and other network configurations. For demonstration, I will start only one instance. These are advanced configuration settings. You can skip it for now. Select your preferred storage size. After all these, select Launch. In AWS for additional security, we have to create a key for connecting to our virtual machine. So let's create new key pair by giving a name. And download it. We need the downloaded key while connecting to our virtual machine. Now our virtual machine is being deployed. We can see deployment status here. Now click on Home button and select EC2. We can see all our resource details here. Click on Instances. See our instance.
So when you have selected one instances, you have to go back to your dashboard and EC2 and it will show you the instances when you click on it. And then you can see the status, it's saying initializing status. So when you are running that, suppose it is in a running state, it will store running. Yeah. And zone and all, everything it will show.
This is running perfectly. We can verify our instance details here. Note down the public IP.
See here, this is very important that you can also mask the IP address in the instances. Anybody who wants to connect to your virtual machine, suppose you're providing some kind of application, you're running some application on this virtual machine and making it available to the client or to someone, to a public. And so that particular IP address, do you want to reveal them? You can just go to those settings which we omitted and skipped. There you can go and change the IP address and you can provide a available IP and it can mask that also for you. Okay.
For connecting virtual machine through our Windows system. Now select our machine and click on Connect button above. Select RDP client as we will connect through RDP. Click on Get Password for generating new password and select our downloaded key. Click on Decrypt Password. Now we got our path.
So normally in cloud computing platform, you have public key and your private keys. So you have to, these are for security and authentication purpose. So when you're creating a key, basically it is authenticating whether you want to start. So whenever you are running instances or you're launching a virtual machine For that purpose, when you're launching it, it asks you for RDP client. That means your key. So the key which you have created while you were creating the instances and saving it, that time you have to store it in your desktop and you have to just load it and it loads it. Okay, it is not a normal kind of a password which we normally do it for our email.
Password. Let's try logging in.
So now you're connecting to that virtual machine from your laptop.
Yes, it's done. Thank you for watching the video. If you think this video is useful, give a thumbs up.
Okay. So this is how basically students, you create a virtual machine. It's not very difficult. You just have to select and you have to do it. I will just show you now how to create bucket. Okay. Let me see if it is already open. Then I will show you also so first let us see how to host a static website on S3 bucket, which I was asking. And this is your, I want you all to do this as your, this is your project. Next session, I want you all to show me your static website on S3 bucket. Just a minute.
Hello everyone. In this video,
Okay, so I'm just randomly selecting any video which is now available. You can just check any video. These are all, everything is very, everything is very simple and available on net, even on the Amazon also site it is available. But if you feel that it is little difficult for you to understand, you can go to the YouTube and you can understand in your own language, or maybe Hindi. Like I basically with understand anything which is very, very technical in Hindi. So I'll just run this for you.
I'm going to show you how to host a static website on AWS S3. So for demonstration, I'm just going to...
Students, please remember, this is your homework or assignment. I'm again repeating, this is your assignment for next session. Whenever I have the next session, you can find out from Harinakshi ma'am. I want all the groups, in groups, I'm not saying individually. You have to show me to host a static website from on S3. Okay. If you want, I can send you a tutorial, but then it is easy for you to understand on your own. If I send you the tutorial, I have a tutorial, a work document, but I want you to learn on your own. It's not very difficult.
Build a very simple website and show you how to host it on AWS S3. So let's get started. So this is my sample website. Like it's a very simple, it has some text and I also have a logo here. So if you see my index.html, this is how it looks. I just have...
So you first create an HTML file, okay? And a simple website you create on HTML. And then you try to host that static website, HTML1, okay, on S3.
Some text and one image.
Just a minute.
So you can host any static website with text and multimedia, videos, images as well. Okay. So, but for demo purposes, I'm just going to host this simple website on S3 and show you how to do that. Okay. So once you have all the files needed for your website ready, you can navigate to AWS Management Console and click on S3. So we first need to create a bucket to host our website. So I'm going to select this bucket. So I'm just going to name it AWS Made Easy website. And for now, I'm just going to leave all the settings as default and create the bucket. Okay, we will need to change some settings later. So, but we will see how to do that at a later point. Okay, so for now, I'm going to create a bucket with all the default settings. Okay, so once you have your website created, you need to upload all your files related to your website to this website. Okay, I'm just going to click on add files and I'm going to select index, and then I'm going to select add folder and select these images. So yep, make sure you upload all your related website related files into this S3 bucket. Okay, yep. So once you have uploaded these files, then click on index.html. So this is the URL using which you will be able to access your website. So let's see now if you are able to access the website. So if you see, it says that access denied. Okay, so now the first thing what we need to do is we need to make enable the static website hosting. So to do that, we click on properties here and scroll to the bottom. Here you see something called static website hosting. Click on edit here and enable the static website hosting and select this host a static website, and you need to give the name of your index document. For me, it is index.html. I'm going to leave this error document empty and click on save changes. Okay, so now let's see if you are able to access. Okay, so I'm just going to refresh this. So if you see again, we are seeing this access denied image. So access denied message. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to basically we are trying to access this website from internet, right? So we need to make this bucket publicly accessible. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to click on this management here. I'm sorry, permissions. So and click on block public access here, edit. So we need to uncheck this box. So what we are saying is we are saying AWS to enable the public access to our S3 bucket. Okay, so I'm going to click on save changes here and type in confirm. Okay, so now let's see if you are able to access the website. So we are still seeing the access denied image. So what we need to do is we need to make all the objects related to our website publicly accessible. Only then we will be able to do that. So to do that, we need to select all the objects and click on. So here we are not able to see this make public using ACL. So for that option to be enabled, what we need to do is we need to go to permissions and scroll down here in object ownership. Click on edit and enable access control list and click on. Oh yeah, I need to just acknowledge this. Click on save changes. Okay, now we will go back here and select all the objects and make public using ACL. Okay, make public. So now let's go here and refresh this and see if, yep, now if you see, now we are able to access our website, static website, which is hosted on AWS S3. So yeah, this is a very simple website, and I mean in your website you can include a lot of more complicated.
Okay, students, so I end my session here. I want two work to be done by you in my next session, okay? I'm going to see group-wise few things. One, I want to see, excuse me, just a minute. Okay, so there are two things which you have to do. One, I will send it to Harinakshi ma'am if I have the document with you. You can go through that. One, you have to host. So all the web development students, they can, try this out, because for them, it is essential to know this AWS platform. Or if not, you can also try the WordPress also, if you want to do it from there, which is integrated into AWS. Or write in Java a static website page and try to upload using the same S3 feature of this. This is one. Second, you have to show me a virtual machine which you have created. Don't run it. Maybe you can run it and just show it for me for that purpose, and you can delete that instances from there. Because if you keep on running, then it's going to charge you money for that. Okay. So these are the two works which I'm going to see in the next session. Okay. And related to, yes. Also, if you have already learned the machine learning and all, I'm going one more project to you, which I should have given earlier. But because you people started, I don't know what is the status, but I think by now you might have learned Python and all. So I want the machine learning people to develop the chatbots. Not a chatbot, yes, a bot, smart bot. I will give a help to you. I will send a file to Harinakshi ma'am, which is on GitHub. There are certain codes available in that. You can see that that particular smart bot can tell me specifically, I want that particular bot to answer the timings and all, time, weather, and all those kinds of simple questions you can put into it. Okay. So these are the three projects. One is the bot, creation of chatbot, conversational bot. Okay. And the second one is that it should speak. Okay. That one. And I'm going to give you a little bit help on that. And one more project is there. Just give me one moment. I have a list of projects which I have given in the last. Just give me a few seconds. I will just check those projects. And this is an assignment part. Next session, I want this. Okay, so I will be sending a file which I'm going to show you now. Just a minute. And the help on that file is also available. By my evaluation for this batch will be those projects. But for next session, I want a static website to be hosted on AWS S3 bucket, a virtual machine to be created. And if you want, you can just use the AWS platform. The cybersecurity students can explore the AWS platform to look into the various features of cybersecurity and give me an overview of that. Okay, that how they can use it. So just give me a few seconds. I'm going to share a file, and this file I'm going to send it to you. And this is my evaluation, which I strictly wanted from you all, because this is something which is going to really help you when you apply for a job. You can just tell that we have done these kinds of can you see, all of you? Just give me a second. I'll open the file and show you. I'll open the file in the mail and show you now, because at present I have to convert that file map. So can you see? Yes or no? Okay, these are the file. These are the project. You can take any of the project. A group can take. For example, a particular group can take a AI-based virtual assistant. You have to create a virtual assistant using Python. Okay. And this will be an outcome, will be an app. An application is Jarvis AI as Python. And I've given a kind of a link also where you can go in a GitHub and you can find in the repository certain sample of it. But I don't want you to copy that because that already I've seen how it works. AI-based fake news detector. Again, in this particular site, all kind of information is given. Traffic prediction using AI. Text encryption using AI. This is for cybersecurity. Those students who have taken cybersecurity will take out of these three any one. Keylogger software. All different kind of information is provided into this. These are site for help. Then prediction bird species using AI, face recognition using AI, signature verification using Python, stock market analysis and prediction, CV analysis and automated. And for the cloud computing people, I've already given them static website and all those kinds. So now I want you all to work on it and come out with this project. Next session is not an assignment, but next session is the, you have to show me that. Okay. So are you clear with this? Any doubt you have? So next session, every group, take a group and show me, post a static website, create any kind of static website, 2, 3 things, whatever you want to create, image or whatever you want to create. If it is a good website, it is good. I will be happy on HTML. And then post it on AWS S3. And show me a virtual machine, how you have created virtual machine. And these two things I want to see in the next session. And by the end of the this particular course, one project per particular group. If you want to do on your own any project, I don't have any issues. You can take up a project. You can send me, send it to your to Kionix, and they can send it to me. I will look into it, and then we can go ahead and do that. You know, basic what thing has to be done. I'll just show you that I have recently done one kind of a project or which was done 5 years back with some of my colleagues in different, not in my university, different university. We have a WhatsApp group and we collaborated and we did this project. And within 3 months, I'm getting a grant. It's gone for patent. You understand what is patent? If you have a patent in your name, you can do wonders for your careers. So that's the reason why project-centric learning is essential today. And that's what I focus mostly when I speak or train my students. I basically ask. So I have 2 patents now. One is already done, right? And one more is coming up. And this is on AI only. Okay. And I will discuss it, but at present, I don't want to discuss it because it's in the process. The, designing and all have already got approval. And I've got last week itself, email from the Patent IPR Office of India that it has been approved. Technical approval has been done within 3 months. If there is nobody claiming to have the same kind of a product, they will grant me the patent for 20 years. Not me alone. We have 5 people together. I'm also one of them. And so I want all of you to have at least one patent or maybe publication. Start with publication, patent publications. I can help you with that. Come out with that. Take my help. I have an entire, I know how to go for patent, how to go for publication very well. So utilize our, these expertise, expert sessions are given not only to learn certain, these are the things which you can learn on your own, but this is given to guide you. And my guidance is project. Let me tell you, students, you have ample opportunity if you do patent or projects, live projects, live patent and publication. Start with publication, go for patent. And all these projects you can show in your LinkedIn. You will get umpteen number of opportunity. Company will follow you. You don't have to go to the companies. Yes, one hand is raised. Megha. Yeah, Megha, tell me.
Ma'am, my name is Meena from Vaishali Computers. We are SAP students, ma'am. We don't know about coding. What we should do?
SAP students. No,
Yes.
I am, you know what, Megha, I'm really surprised that why you people say like this. See, for ERP also, you will be learning how to operate, right? Have I ever told you in all my session to do coding? Have I already taught you on coding? I didn't teach you. I
No.
taught you all the platform which are available without coding. Last class also, I taught you about AI, which is, RPA without coding. Then I had one session on without coding. And this platform AWS, I'm not asking you to use the coding feature of the AWS. I'm asking you, you know what? What I suggest, Megha, is that in your center, whoever is taking AI or whoever is doing learning web development, ask them to create a site, HTML static site, and
Okay.
you do the web development, Amazon, and go, because you have to use Amazon. Anybody who's learning any kind of technology need to know AWS, or this is one of the platforms. You know AWS, it is very easy for you to know. Tomorrow your ERP will be operating from AWS itself, right? So you need to have an added advantage. I will request all of you, and even the center also, that form a group which has diverse kind of students. Certain students who are doing AI, some students who are doing cloud computing, some students who are doing cyber security, some who are doing ERP. All of them, let them come together and do this project. Multidisciplinary it should be. I will say it is not multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, but same way in multiple field, if you do, project will never be one field, Megha. I am a
Okay.
management teacher, right? I'm not in a hardware, I'm zero. So I have few professors from IT. They're from IT Mumbai who have done this patent with me. They are the people I came up with concept, and we sat. There is a software, people who are specialized in software. They came up with software coding, and then there is a, so you need to have diverse skill set in your team. Then only you can do project. Even in the company also, they will make a team of people who are expertised in different kinds of skills, and all of them come together. Some will be in cloud computing, some will be in AI, and all of them come together and complete one project. One person, one kind of skill set is, not enough today. Okay, so you make those groups.
Okay, ma'am.
Any other
Thank you.
questions? Yeah. Any other? Yeah. Tell. Yeah. Will you be able to do it? It's not difficult.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you all students.
Thank you, ma'am.